Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASOCAST. I'm your host, Ryan Massett. I'm joined by Michael Timmons, Lyndon Cook, and Blueser Tucci. 7 days until basketball practice. We're off and running. We've seen a lot of teams this fall. Let's hop right in. Okay, let's start with commitments. Kendrick DeLuna, Cal State Fullerton. Gunter Daniels to UC Colorado Springs. Zayden Hyde, North Carolina. Keanu Dawes, Rice. Keelan Dorsey, Sam Houston. Trenton Walters, Radford. And Noah Martin, Southern Naz. Great list there of commitments in the past week. Excited for those guys to be on the next level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're just going to hop right into it. We've seen a lot of basketball this fall, particularly in the last 6 weeks, gearing up for this high school season. I'm just going to pose the question, and just give me an answer of kind of what you think. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out answer, but just what have you learned from all of these fall events? Lyndon, I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, my biggest thing is, like, we always talk about how kids get picked off from Texas, where they go to these national prep schools or academies and stuff like that. But we had stops in Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. This state is as prospect rich as ever, and it's at all age groups, it's at all levels for all college recruitments. I mean, if you can play in the state of Texas, there's going to be eyes on you, and you're going to get found. There are prospects here. There's no need to leave, and that's a sentiment that we've all echoed at some point this fall.
Yeah, I would say that, and kind of moving in from your point, in one of our biggest classifications in 5A, my point is 5A is as open as ever. We have had the discussion in this office of who is the best 5A team, and there are a lot of answers. And there's a lot of teams that have played well at our fall events that we point to and say, I think it's them because of X. Right. And there's always an equally good counter, and I'm just so interested to see how it's going to play out this year because I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite, kind of like the past couple.
Yeah, for me, I mean, with all these games, we get a lot of really good matchups early on. We get to see these kids transition over from the summer to high school, and we get to kind of look at what their identities are and their roles are. So some of these kids, we see what the next-gen kind of guys are, how their roles are going to be in high school. We see some of these under the radar or our leveling up guys, how they'll fit into these roles. So we really get a chance to see them before November. Hey, how are you going to fit with your high school team? And it really helps us as evaluators kind of get an idea before the first games in November.
Yeah, and speaking along those lines, that we just saw a bunch of basketball. I mean, when you put together all the teams, some were duplicates, but we got a lot of eyes on like 250 teams in 4 different weekends. And that allows us to get to our next steps of, which I think is the fun part, is not just the player rankings, but it's also the team rankings. And we've had the chance to talk to many high school coaches and get their thoughts and inputs of, hey, you're in District 11. What do you think? Who's going to be at the top? Who are y'all voting for? And so you get so many different answers, and then you get to watch them play. And then we figure it out for ourselves, and we'll be coming out soon with our team rankings here, hopefully in the next week or so. And it's like you said, Mass, 5A's wide open. 6A, I think we can sit here and go, yeah, Duncanville's leading the way, but who's right behind them? There's guys that are itching for that title along with Duncanville.
Tons of storylines. We're going to get to see a few more of the kind of the prep schools this weekend too at our GASO Jam showcase, which will be cool. And then we have some JUCOs coming up. So if you're interested, it's going to be at the SWAC this Sunday.
10 to 4.
10 to 4. A lot of really high-level matchups. I think, we have number 4, number 6, and number 8 of the top JUCOs in the nation
4, 6,
coming.
8.
And then we've got a lot of the top prep schools around the state coming as well. So if you want some more basketball kind of during this down period during the high school season, show up. We'd love to see you. We had our last fall classic this weekend in Mansfield. Great turnout. I think it was 90-plus teams. And we saw some really special performances. And I'm going to go ahead and tip this one off because the guy I saw I've never seen play more poised. Tijon Brown, I'm talking to you. You're known for your highlights and some of the explosive things that you can do when you're playing at your best. And what I want to tell you this weekend is I saw consistency. I saw poise. I saw a point guard who, whenever the tide was starting to shift in the other team's favor, took control, took the reins, and said, hey, we're going to be all right. And I've never seen that from you at such a high level. And I think, Kimball is loaded with talent per usual, but when the ball's in someone's hands as much as it is Tijon, that's a high responsibility. And I thought this weekend, personally, I was like, man, that corner has been turned, and that is a guy that I would trust. And I'm really excited to see what he can do for Kimball this season.
Yeah, and be on the lookout for him and I did a kicking it courtside, and I kind of asked him about that. You're the guard at Kimball now, and he elaborated on that very good. It was a really good interview, and yeah, he was a big time player this week.
Definitely.
Really good.
Talking about turning the corner, Michael Thomas is starting to show a little bit, the flashes that you want to see from somebody that is entering the 6A classification. And so, he took his team to state last year in 1A in Calvert. Now he's going from 1A all the way up to 6A. He looked well. He just was played so well this week, and I thought playing on even the bigger stage, even though he's been on the EYBL, now we get to look at him from the perspective of your 6A for 5A. I'm sorry, 5A. Yeah. They're one that did not switch.
Right.
That did not move up. So you're looking at a team that could quietly sneak up on people. And so MJ rebounding, handling the ball, scoring it, moving well in both directions of transition, and I think there's some high expectations moving forward to see really where he's going to finish and where he's going to land.
That's going to be a bloodbath of a district. It's going to be a game in, game out. It's going to be a grind for those 8 teams to make the playoffs, and all very capable teams. That's a fun little storyline there. Linden, a prospect that you and I both have liked from Central Texas, Jadon Hall, put on a show this weekend.
Yeah, just from the get-go, he was making shots. He was getting into the lane. I mean, this Temple team is fun. They spread the ball around, but when Jaden has the ball in his hands, I mean, he's doing whatever he wants with it. He's making step backs. He's able to just really, anytime he gets any type of advantage, he knows how to press that and get an advantage shot in a premium scoring position whenever he's up against a defender that lets him have any kind of space.
And then one of the superstars this weekend of a team that has a lot of expectation on them, recent commit to TCU, Isaiah Manning. Timmons, talk about him.
Yeah, first of all, you can't come to the GASO and not get a haircut because we got the photographers there. Don't get mad the way your hair looks, bro. That has nothing to do with me. But yeah, no haircut, no problem for this kid. 6'7". Obviously, he's known for being able to shoot the ball from the perimeter. Over the summer with Southern Assault, he continued to add his prowess of attacking the glass. So now he's playing a lot of inside-outside. He's a mismatch because at 6'7", sometimes the opposite high school team center has to try to guard you on the perimeter, and that's just a nightmare. But I just like his versatility of his game. He's going to do a lot of things for that team to win, but it gives Legacy a dude that can go get a bucket when they need it. And yeah, the frame's starting to fill out more. I mean, he looks college ready right now.
Yeah.
So very impressive to see him with that Legacy team.
Moving into 2024's Blue, we know you love big men, and this is an explosive one. He's really turned a corner here at Lancaster.
Mass, you saw Dylan Batiste first when he was at Plano West a year ago.
Like 28 and 12.
You raved about him. Sam saw him, and he transferred over to Lancaster, and he didn't get a ton of burn. I went to go see them in the playoffs.
It's like 5 or 6 minutes, right?
I don't know exactly, but it wasn't 32 minutes that he deserves to play this year. My goodness. That guy, I've always said for me personally, when I have to look at my roster 2 or 3 times to remind me of that player, because he was doing so many things. He'd be inside with a thunderous dunk, and then all of a sudden he's going from the wing off 2 or 3 dribbles into the paint and laying it in, and it's like, is that the same player? And Dylan Batiste has high-level ability, and it was showing out there this weekend, and that's a kid I am excited about, that he's within that offense and that defense of how fast they play at Lancaster, in the chaos that they try to disturb their opponents with, he fits perfectly, and he's going to fit perfectly at that next level. So I'm excited and circling his name, and when college coaches call for the next one, I'm telling them to keep a little check mark by him.
Yeah, a quintessential Lancaster Tiger there. Lyndon, one of the more fun players. Just I can't watch him and not describe his game as fun. Nico Lucero, Birdville.
Yeah, and his ability to shoot is unquestionable. I mean, we've seen it at just about every type of basketball game we can cover. But this weekend, it was the clutch gene showing off for him that was really the highlight for me from an evaluation perspective. You know, they're down 3-4 with 30 seconds left. They run a little flare screen over the top. He catches it with his feet set, knocks it down to send them to overtime. They're down 2 with our Elam ending rules. They're playing to 87. They're at 84. They're down 2, and he catches one in the corner and drains it with 2 guys flying out in his face to walk it off and win the game for him. I mean, that's the kind of highlights that can build some real momentum for you in terms of your confidence, in terms of, you know, putting the rest of your district, the region, on notice that, hey, Birdville's got this shooter that you have to game plan for every single night, or else he's going to light you up.
Yeah, I will say this. I want to add this. That is Robert Lucero from Austin Westlake's nephew.
Oh, wow.
And so I walked by Nico's grandfather and asked him, I said, well, how's Nico playing? He goes, he's just shooting the ball okay. So, Grandpa, I hope this one really settled in, because on point, I was standing there, and he makes those types of plays, and I'm sure that Mr. Lucero there was very excited for Nico, and I just thought that was kind of funny and just wanted to bring that up.
Michael, a guy that kind of had a coming out party at TABC and then had an injury, so we didn't get to see him there for a little while, and appears back at our Mansfield GASO off of 3 days of practice, off kind of a short week, coming off a 6-week injury, put on a show, went toe-to-toe with Finley Bizjack. I'm talking about Malik Archie of McKinney.
Yeah, man. Probably my biggest stock riser of the weekend. I know we're not doing that segment, but like what he was doing in that game, just his pace, the way he could finish, the way he can shoot, it's just a lot of no nonsense, getting straight to it. Him and Finley Bizjack went back and forth in that game. Just his poise. You know, I go over and talk to the McKinney staff, and they're like, yeah, we think he has a chance to be one of the next, you know, great guards out of McKinney. And now I didn't even know. I knew he was coming off injury, but I didn't know how recent and fresh it was. He looked like he's been ready to rock for a while, and you know, exciting things are going on with that McKinney program, especially around Malik Archie.
No doubt. I'll talk about Plano East, a dangerous team, and there's about 7 guys I probably could have mentioned here. I've tweeted about one, so I'm going to give the other one praise here. Jordan Mizell of Plano East. He's this about 6-foot guard, and I've never seen a guy get more offensive rebounds from the point guard position. He just impacts the game. A lot of winning plays constantly, and this team is balanced. And Jordan is kind of the catalyst for that group. He passes and makes great decisions. He can knock down a 3. He's going to guard the best guard, and then he's going to go rebound. When you're 6 foot, and the thing that I take away is your rebounding ability. I think that's pretty special. Like that's something different. That separates you from some of these other guards. We're going to hop into another segment called Leveling Up. Me and Blue did it last week from Houston. It's a fun way to say this kid is taking another step in his game. I think all of us can agree on the first name on this list,
yes.
Peyton Gusters of Dallas Faith Family. We saw him a few times this summer, and just from the growth from this summer to what we saw on Saturday was staggering. Blue, do you want to expand on that?
Wow, he took an opportunity and he showed us that he can go out there and play some basketball. And he was doing it from the wing and in the open court, transition, knocking down threes, converting on his free throws, getting to the rim. He was a complete player, and he looked absolutely different. Yeah. Did a 180 in one day for us to see. And he's already a guy that I can sit here and say he's moving in the top 100. So somebody's falling out because that guy went out there and performed. And watching him, you believe that's what's to come.
Yes, a team that might be considered kind of a one-man show.
Yeah.
Lovejoy with Carson Templin does have some pieces on it. Michael, Parker Patel played really well this weekend.
Yeah, so I went and put the camera down, went and sat and watched the game. I watched Lovejoy versus Carter, and Carter has all those athletes out there. You know, Carson Templin was getting to it, but Carter had Lovejoy down, and they needed a spark. And all of a sudden, Parker hits 2 threes in a couple possessions, and you see right away, okay, they do have other pieces, so they can go different directions if the biggest thing is if you're going to double down on Carson Templin, then you have shooters that are capable of knocking down shots. And seeing Parker knock down shots to make that run really got me excited for what Lovejoy can be this season.
Absolutely. Lyndon, both of us at separate points got to see Mansfield this weekend, and their guard play was pretty phenomenal, as well as the play as Melvin Mokaya. Why don't you expand on Mansfield?
Yeah, the main guy at both of our fall classics that we've seen up in this area, the one in Duncanville and in the one this past weekend in Mansfield, Isaiah Torregrosa. This kid, he is just in attack mode no matter where he is on the court. If he's up top, coming off a ball screen, or if he catches it on the wing, he's somebody who is just a paint machine. He's getting into the paint, making good things happen, hitting the floater, getting to the rim, or dumping it off to Melvin Mokaya, their post prospect down there, about 6'6", wide target, finishes through contact, has really nice hands around the rim. And then, a guy that you really highlighted was Aiden Washington.
Yeah. Poor guards that played against Isaiah and Aiden this weekend. They just got harassed, and those two get after it defensively. Just wanted to highlight some fun guard play on the defensive end. And then hopping over to another guy from Forney, Janarius Edwards, Waterbug. Like, this guy is like kind of played this like jujitsu. When he attacks and you do something defensively, he's really great at countering very quickly, super fast, can get in the paint, score the ball, and then score from deep. I really, really liked what I saw from Janarius Edwards. Moving into our next-gen prospects, this is always one of our favorite segments. Blue, Red Oak has been on a tear with kind of these young guys growing up, and they got another one in the stable.
Yeah, Lyndon and I both like what we saw.
Yeah, y'all put this guy's name down. Both y'all want to talk about him.
And so, he was out there from the get-go, running up and down the court, getting and distributing the ball. He was left open.
Are you going to say his name?
Oh, Michael Gatewood, thanks.
I thought that was going to be the longest introduction ever.
Yes.
Oh, by the way. So, Michael Gatewood, like Mass, there's always something coming out from Red Oak. And Michael Gatewood really looked good among the veterans, the upperclassmen out there on the court. And so wanted to see more of him, but he definitely just caught my eye right away. And Lyndon, you were about him too.
Yeah, definitely. But for me, talking about some kids who I hadn't seen personally before that just really just wowed. I'm like, these kids are 2025s? How is this possible? Because Irving High's got a pair in Ricardo Aguilar and A.J. McPeters.
I threw that lob to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, these kids, they get to work. They're both such talented on-ball scorers. I mean, they offer a little bit of the thunder and lightning. You got the big, tough guard who can bully his way into the paint in A.J. McPeters, and then you've got the shifty, just slippery, quick guard in Ricardo, who's just killer hesitation.
Do not underestimate that kid.
Yes.
He's a babyface killer.
Yeah,
I mean,
doubt.
he's ridiculous.
But Irving definitely has a fun backcourt that's worth another look this season with two sophomores that are I mean, offensive weapons for them.
Yeah, I'll hop in here with B.J. Scott of Prosper. He's a 2025 I hadn't seen before. And, Prosper has some pieces that are allowing them that they should be kind of a win-now type team. Like, they've got some Jackson Ford, James Cloud, Brent Evanston. They got some shooters. They just got a lot of guys. And B.J. Scott, sophomore, has the ball in his hands quite a bit, and he's making good decisions. He's a quick guard. He's knocking down shots. Really, really impressed with what I saw there. Timmons, a staple in this office we've really liked so far. David Coe, we've seen him multiple times, and he's hard not to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the vision that this kid has, like, probably is going to turn into one of the best passers in the state when it's all said and done. Yeah. But he was in more of attack mode when I saw him this past weekend. Really crafty, getting to his floaters, quick first step, getting to the rim, knowing how to get the ball on the backboard at an early age is a big thing for me, what I'm looking for out of this guard position. But you can see that he's starting to find that balance of finding his teammates and getting his. And at that lead guard position for Grapevine, they're going to rely on him to put the ball in the rim some. So it was good to see him in more of attack mode this weekend.
Funny enough, Lyndon, you had the Twins down.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Grapevine.
I mean, what else can we say about Grapevine? Because they've got just three freshmen that are not just pieces; they are impact performers, game in, game out. I mean, Antoine was getting on the floor for loose balls. I mean, you expect that from a kid who's
Oh,
who's
yeah,
been
that was
around.
right when we were sitting right there. I was like, dive on that. Yeah, he almost dove into the freaking bleachers.
He's taking out coaches, players, everyone nearly slid into a ref. I mean, this guy was all over the place. They're so tough. They've got almost that football kind of body where they're able to take this type of punishment, going to the rim, drawing contact as freshmen. I mean, it's impressive to watch, and they were finishing on those drives against 2023, 2024 guys that I mean, there's a lot of resistance there. These kids are game ready for the varsity level.
All right, I'm gonna tell you to mark it down right now. If you know about him, great. If you don't, Davion Atkins, write that name down and just pocket it, because this guy, big man, about 6'8", 6'9", freshman. The way he moves is just different. You know, he's not like the gangly awkward yet, but he's moving and looks very coordinated. Saw him have a putback and then a little baby-like type hook around the rim, and then he's getting to compete against Dorian and Jaden Toppin every day this year. Yeah. You know, like next year.
You better
Dorian.
get tough real quick.
Yeah. So just back pocket that name, because the way he moved and the way he competed as a freshman, and this all the stuff, the genetic stuff, like you can't teach. He has a chance.
You know what one of the biggest compliments is? Whenever, I think you turned to Tompkins and asked him, like, who, tell me about him. He goes, oh, he's good. Yeah. Just that from a teammate.
A senior about a freshman.
Yes, who's committed, going to New Mexico. He sees that his freshman teammate is going to be something good. And so I think that's kind of always a special little conversation that can happen. And then watching that same game that we were watching, Caden Edwards for Duncanville, maybe gave us a little bit of taste of like, hey, next year we're not going to have Ronald. We're not going to have KJ Lewis. So it's my turn, because those two were not there. They were on some visits. So he gave us a little bit of taste, and they were competitive too without those two, by the way. I know that they, during that game against Faith Family, they competed and they were showing, hey, this is going to be our team next year. But Caden was knocking down the three. He was getting to the rim and hitting little floaters. He looked really comfortable in kind of taking that next step along with some of his other teammates that will be there next year.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Cameron Paul, SGP. He's really good.
Yeah, so one of the things when we would do all these fall GASOs, naturally we're like, oh, that team's really fun. Well, Mark South Grand Prairie to that list, super fun. And Cameron Paul, he's a gamer right away. Played. I covered the game against Lake Highlands. Shot, fake, sidestep, three-pointer the first play of the game. What makes this team fun is that they're going fast. And at 6'6", 6'7", Cameron Paul's running just with him. So he knows he's going to try to catch some lobs. He caught a lob off the backboard from Cameron Carroll. But just seeing how he was in this game and affecting it, and they took Lake Highlands all the way down to the wire, tells me that he's ready for the big stage, was efficient in his touches, and just overall just a long, lanky prospect that continues to get better and better.
Yeah. We'll be back soon. Next week, I think we're trying to drop rankings at some point.
Yep. We're going to do some breakdowns.
We're going to do
districts.
We're going to talk about some fun district races, and we're putting out in this week's newsletter our contenders and our pick for champions, but we're going to kind of go into depth with some regional winners, our Final Fours, and stuff like that. And then the season, like I said, we're 7 days away from practice. Scrimmages start, and then tournaments start, and we'll be all over the place.
Yeah, we'll definitely be letting y'all know where we're going to be. Meet us there, let us know where y'all are going to be, some sleeper games that we need to be paying attention to, man. The season's here, and we're excited. We're excited to cover it.
That's going to wrap up this GASOCast. We'll see you next time.